the cloud. Okay, here we go. Whoops, I just made my screen big there. I lost you. Okay, just kidding. Now here we go. Okay, welcome to episode 22 of the Georgee and Patty Show. I am Georgie.
Hi, Patty.
And you are Patty. Woohoo!
Woo!
And today is a very, very, very exciting day. Thursday is our day when we interview highly inspiring humans. And today that highly inspiring human is none other than my co-host, Patty Kay. So if you have questions that you would like me to ask Patty, please put them in the chat. And I will look for them and ask her those questions. So anything you're dying to know about her, let me know, because we're going to share that. So I thought she's going to share all her deep, dark secrets are coming to life today. Oh, wait, let me change my name first.
I have a very, very, very bad habit of answering questions that are asked of me.
Oh, good. That's the point. That's the point. But I thought as we got started, I thought I'd share some things that you might not know about Patty. So she actually lived on a sailboat for 2 years. She's done stand-up comedy before. She loves animals, and she has 2 fur babies, Jackson and Brody, who sometimes, Jackson makes appearances on our shows every now and again. What I love is that she almost always sees more than one point of view to just about every situation. It's one of the reasons I love working with her so much. She's the author of the U-Shaped Business book, which if you're into sales marketing and creating a business that you want, that's unique to you, it's a really great book to get. She loves to read. I think she is a master at taking so much information and tons of ideas and really simplifying them into a really easy to understand format. She loves Venn diagrams, spreadsheets, charts, models, all of those things. And she likes to be able to use those to help to understand things, share ideas. And she's an absolute wizard at developing marketing messages that are clear, easy to understand, and client-centered. So that is Miss Patty. We just lost Facebook. I don't know what happened. Hang on a second. After that great introduction, we've lost Facebook. Give me 5 seconds. I'm going to try one more time. Because the world needs to know. Facebook needs to know you're here. I'm skipping that super producer thing, I think. Maybe that was the problem. We're going to get to the quote of the day as well, and Patty's going to share her very favorite, or one of her favorite quotes. I think she probably has a lot of favorite quotes, but quote of the day is going to be one that she really resonates with, as I'm getting this Facebooky thing.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. After this short commercial break, we'll be back with Patty sharing her favorite quote. I'm going live without a title just to make this quick.
Ooh, live on Facebook.
All right.
That's for sure.
Oh, it psyched me out. I was all excited. Okay, let me go back over here. All right. Well, why don't you start then by sharing your quote?
All right. My favorite quote is from Marianne Williamson from her book, Return to Love. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
I love that quote so much.
Me too.
So much. So maybe why don't we start with, what do you love most about that quote?
I've loved this quote for a long time. And I think really it ties in with my purpose for being here, with this whole idea that we are all here for a reason, that we are our individual piece of the jigsaw puzzle, and we show up and there's a place for us, and that we all have value. And for me, as somebody that doesn't fit into the mainstream, a little bit of a misfit, okay, a lot of a misfit, something like a quote like that just gives me this impression that there are a lot of us that are a little bit quirky, a little bit different, that have ideas that are a little bit outside of the mainstream. And I just love it so much if we would all individually turn on our lights. I think that the world needs that kind of illumination. So it speaks to that. It's just like this idea that, yeah, I'm here for a reason. And as weird as I am, this is why I'm here. And it's just, what else can I do, right? Other than be myself, kind of thing.
Totally. I love that so much, right? It's about embracing the quirkiness. Exactly. So lovely. So since we have a lot of business peeps on here, how about you start with sharing what got you on this entrepreneurial journey that you're on? Where did it all, take us back to the beginning. Where did it all begin?
Well, it began in childhood with my first lemonade stand. My dad had his own business, so I did grow up in that environment. That being in business was a cool thing. I babysat when I was a kid because I liked making money. But my very first like real business was a video store. Back in the late 80s, before Blockbuster, when the neighborhood video store was a thing. So I had a little shop in a strip mall with like 2,000 movies on VHS. And for anyone who remembers ancient technology, back when we used to rent out videotapes, that's how I got started in business. And we had no beta. Actually, I had a few beta. They never rented though. There were just like sunk costs in the inventory.
So how do you go from video store to computer programming?
Well, that was the really cool thing. When I had the video store, we had paper receipts in triplicate. Part of our hiring criteria is you needed to be able to write quickly and neatly to be able to fill out these receipts with the names of the movies people were renting. We had a cash register. It was all very, computers weren't that, like this was like 1988, 1989. It's like computers weren't the thing that they are now. And I met this guy.
Uh-oh.
Did computer stuff, and exactly. He sold computers out of his closet, which he created from parts. And I got into this idea, like computers. This was really cool. So, while we were dating, I had a video store. He had this make computers in his closet business. And I was helping with it, and I was interested because I was figuring out how to set the computers up, how to show people how to use them, how to install software. All of that stuff was hard back then. It wasn't easy like it is today. And trust me, it is easy today if you think it's not. And then one day he comes home. He used to buy parts from a local computer store. They would throw all the stuff that was broken and returned in a box. And then he would get this box of tricks. And it was like $200 to bring home the box of tricks. And he would take these parts and he would fix them, and he would make computers out of pieces. He was really good at that. But the deal with the computer store owner was you had to take the whole box, and you had to take the box every time. So sometimes he had good stuff in it and sometimes it was crap. But on the whole, he always managed to make money from the box. Well, one day he comes home with a box, and in the box is this program called Turbo Pascal, which is a programming piece of software. And he says, I've been thinking, he says, we should sell software, because computers, you can only sell them once. You make a computer, you sell it once, but software, he says, you write it once, then you can sell it many times. So I've decided we're going to start a software company. I'm going to sell the programs, and you, pointing to me, are going to write them. So he hands me this box, Turbo Pascal, and a book with a purple cover called Mastering Turbo Pascal. And he says, write us a video store program.
Very cool.
Uh, so this is actually one of the really interesting lessons that I've learned. Like, this has always stuck with me. First of all, this idea, write once, sell many, is very intriguing. But this idea of like, write me a video store program. So I open up the tutorial and I create, and I install the software and I figure out, okay, I'm going to learn how to write code. And the very first exercise in the programming book is you type stuff in so that the display says, hello world. Every computer programming thing always starts with the hello world thing. So it's like, so I did it, and I was like, and I'm like, hey Don, come look. And he looked at it, and it's like, I said, look, and I clicked the button, and the display said hello world, and he says, and I quote, that doesn't look like a video store program to me.
Thanks for the support, honey.
That was my first thought, but my second thought was, what does a video store program look like? And from there, I kind of worked out the structure of how I would approach learning this new task of computer programming. So I'm like, what does a video store program look like? I'd never seen one. I knew there were other people doing it. I knew they existed, but I'd never actually seen one. So I'm like, I think it looks like an invoice, because that's what we were writing on the counter. I'm like, I think it looks like an invoice. So I grabbed a piece of paper. I'm like, okay, I think the screen needs to look like this. It needs these boxes in it. It needs the customer information here. It needs an invoice number, needs the list of the movies, needs to know how much the money is. And then I took that and I'm like, okay, what do I need to learn in order to make an invoice? So that meant I could fast forward through learning how to do the computer programming, because there was some stuff and it was kind of like, does this make a video store program or not? So there was some cutesy stuff, making stuff blink on the screen, creating animations, and it's like, don't need that for the video store program. So I didn't have to waste time learning the stuff I didn't need to know. I just fast forwarded. And young, naive, had no idea that I couldn't possibly create a video store program. I ended up writing a video store program.
That's so awesome.
Just that shift in thinking, right?
Well, and you know what I find really interesting is when I look at the way that we work with clients right now, it's exactly the same thing.
It is totally the same thing. It is totally the same thing. And that's where people get tripped up. They get tripped up in the details, and they're off, getting the screen to say hello world and to blink on and off in 5 different colors and to make an animated stick man. And it's like, no, actually what you need to do is get clients.
Exactly.
That stuff isn't important.
So I love it that it's the same system. And I also really love that it was just like, yeah, I can build this.
Yeah.
I got this. I can do it.
And that's formed so many of my beliefs. It's like just learning that, like being able to do that. It's like, oh, I had I didn't realize it was an impossible task at the time, but it was actually a ridiculous thing for somebody to ask me, oh, you're going to be a software developer. It's like, yeah, okay, I can be a software developer. I can write a video store program. We can sell a video store program. And it's like, we just did all of those things because we didn't know that we couldn't. We had no input coming at us that say we couldn't, because most of the people we knew didn't even know about computers or about programming. Like, we didn't have anyone to be naysayers for us because there's nobody that knew enough to know we couldn't do it, including us.
Yeah.
So it's just, and I take that approach with everything. It's, if I want to do something, I'll figure out how to do it. I'm capable of doing that.
Exactly. It's such a powerful place to be, really. Like, yeah. So now take us up into, how do you get into sales and marketing?
Well, because that partnership that I had with the video store program, my partner was supposed to be the salesperson. And at that time, I'm like, okay, you sell it, I'll do everything else. Is like we shared our work about 98-2, and his 2% was to go and talk to people and sell the software. My 98% was to stay up all night writing code, to fix bugs. I did installations. I trained people how to use software. I did all of that stuff, but it was his job to go and talk to strangers and get them to buy stuff. It was like, I didn't want any part of that. And I thought that he had all of the attributes for this because he had what we would call the gift of the gab. He was good at opening relationships. He was good at building rapport, making a good first impression, but he was actually a really crappy salesperson. He talked too much. He didn't listen enough to what people wanted. He wanted to baffle them with bullshit. He used to say that, oh, I'll just go in and baffle them with bullshit. And I'm like, I don't see it, and in my logical mind, I'm like, I'm not seeing how this works, but anyhow, I kind of leaned on him to do his part and to do the sales part. And then after we split up, I had this idea that I wanted to freelance as a computer programmer. Like many years later, I'm like, I have this skill and I know that it's needed, and I'm thinking I'm pretty good at this thing and I can be a freelancer. And I would need to figure out the sales and marketing part because I didn't have him to lean on. And I'm figuring out I can learn this, right? And it was hard because it involved learning things that I didn't want to learn. It's like, talking to strangers was terrifying. This idea of, opening new relationships, talking about what I did. I was, I always wanted to hide behind somebody else. And yeah, so I invested a lot of time and effort and money into learning this. I read a zillion books. I joined Toastmasters to learn public speaking. I was so afraid of people. Like I joined Toastmasters so that I could get over my fear of people, is really what that was about. So I joined Toastmasters, and it just about killed me to learn how to stand in front of a room and speak. I thought the earth was going to open up. I thought I was going to pee my pants in front of the group. It was like I turned red and I shook, and it was just terrible. 17 seconds. I made it my first table topic at Toastmasters. But I persisted, and I got better at it with practice, but it was hard won. And through it all, what I learned is if you want, like, the video store software is a really good example. It's like Don went in one day to sell to these people, and he comes home and he says, you have to come and close the deal. He says they need your technical knowledge. It's like they do not understand what the difference between Turbo Pascal and DBase is, and you need to explain it. I tried to explain this thing about procedures and functions, but they didn't seem to get it. So I need you to come in and explain how it all works. So I go into this store, and there's these two terrified people behind the counter. There's terrified me hiding behind Don, like I'm hiding. They're looking terrified because he's hauling a computer in, right? Because we're doing a demonstration. He's bringing a computer in. I'm carrying the keyboard. And they're terrified. He's like, okay, Patty, they want to know all about Turbo Pascal. And I'm like, and immediately I'm like, no, they don't. They want to know how this is going to help them with their store. And I'm like, it keeps track of where your movies are. You don't have to write the invoices anymore. It'll speed things up. It never forgets where the movie is. It'll tell you how much money each one of those movies makes. It'll tell you who your best customers are. It'll add up all this math stuff for you. It's going to make it easier. You know how fast it is to return movies with a barcode reader? Zip, 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 zip. No leafing through receipts and trying to find out who had them and moving the receipts from here to there. Like, that's what it's going to do. It's going to help make your business better. Like, I got that. But he was thinking it was all about the technology. I'm like, no, it's not about the technology. So that's where I learned to do things like Venn diagrams. I would talk to somebody about their business problem, about what was going on with the business and what they wanted and why they wanted that piece of software. And then I'd be like, okay, here's what the software does. It helps you keep track of this. It gives you these reports that you asked for. It makes this easier. It speeds up this process. And I would draw diagrams of how stuff worked. And I'm like, this is what it does. Never, ever, ever talked about how I made it. Nobody cared. Like, I would love to talk about, databases and architecture and procedures and stuff, but they had no interest in it. What they wanted to know is, how is this going to solve my business problem? And when I figured that out, I started making sales. It was like I made that, like, it was just like, oh, you build a bridge. You build a bridge between this thing that you do that they don't get and the thing that they want. and you present what you do as the solution.
And that's
So,
exactly
yeah,
what
it
you
was
do
hard
now.
one and it was terrifying. And I understand. I have empathy for clients that come in going, I don't want to do that. I get it.
Yeah, but you had the persistence to keep going.
I had the persistence to keep going, and eventually, and this is something too, we often think that we're going to be passionately in love with this thing that we do first, then we're going to learn how to do it. And it's been my experience that it's kind of opposite. I didn't become passionately in love with computer programming until I started seeing some success with it. And the switch over for me with the sales and marketing is like, it was hard won. It was hard. It was difficult. And then I found myself in this boardroom with my PowerPoint slide deck, going through my diagrams and describing what I'm doing, closing a big deal for a big piece of software, like a 18-month freaking contract basically, and leaving that room going, yes, that was awesome. Yay, I made the sale, and it followed immediately by, oh shit, now I have to write code. It was like, it was that moment in the parking lot halfway between the building and my car where I'm like, I need a change. Like, I'm done with the computer stuff. I'm really way more interested in the sales and marketing thing. And that was like the longest 18 months of my freaking life completing that
So,
project. It was just, I was ready to move on. And I get home and I look at my bookshelf, like floor to ceiling books, right? And it was all full of sales and marketing stuff, like personal development stuff. It was like the computer programming books, they were getting edged out. It was overtaken by all this other stuff, right? And it was just like, yeah, time to move on.
so what's your why? What's your purpose? Why
Um,
purpose statement? What's your why statement? Let's start there.
yeah, my why statement is to help and inspire people to bring their gifts to the world, like to bring their messages to the world. I think that's why I am so passionate about that Marianne Williamson quote, because it speaks directly to that. And that's what lights me up about working with the clients that we work with, is I believe that these purpose-driven people who have businesses and ideas that make the world a better place. It's like, I want to see them succeed. I want to see them thrive. I want to see them bring that gift out to the world and to make a positive difference. And I think that the people who have amazing skills and abilities and ideas and insights, we are often the people who are most hesitant to put the stuff out there because it is new and different. And because we look around and we go, am I the only person who thinks this? Why is nobody talking about this? Why is everyone doing it this way? That's wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't, why aren't we fixing things? And I think, for those of us who are change makers, who see a new and a different and a better way, like I look at my clients and I'm like, okay, if we had more leadership skills, more communication skills, more personal development skills, if we had better ideas about health and nutrition and exercise, like if these things were more common knowledge, like the world would be a better place. And we need these people to survive in their businesses and to make a living at it. Like, that's what I'd love to see. Like, what if every person in the world could make a really good living? Like, not $1 zillion. I'm not into this, become a millionaire, billionaire, kind of special celebrity guru kind of thing. It's more like, what if you could have the equivalent of a well-paying job doing the thing that you're here to do, making a positive difference in the world? It's like this ripple impact would be massive. Like, it just breaks my heart to know that there are intelligent, gifted people out there working in shit jobs for companies that are doing terrible things to the world and their environment. Like, we talked about this earlier before the call, but people putting their creative energy and talents into mindless, brainless freaking reality TV shows. that kind of stuff. The amount of effort that goes into getting people to click stuff for the media, and like it's just horrible. And it's like, there's smart people behind this stuff. What if that intelligence could be directed into making the world a better place?
Exactly.
That's what drives me.
Totally, right? It's about the humanness. It's the humanity. How do we bring humanity back into the world? You know, like, and I can see, hearing your purpose or your why statement there, I can see why the coding was probably short-lived, because I think when we have that, when that's so much a part of us, even, you know, being introverted and not wanting to talk to people, eventually you have to talk to people, because I think that light has to come out in some way, right? It has to. And often that's often why I say with a why or a purpose, I really, really believe we all innately know what that is. It's just the articulation that's hard. And I think as we start going through life, these things start showing up. So it makes perfect sense to me why that kind of was necessary and short-lived. And now you're in a space, I believe, where your light and your genius just shines like crazy. I mean, I see it with the people that you work with and the people that you help, right? It's amazing to watch your wizardry you know, happen. I'm like, oh my God, it's so amazing. It's so cool. You know, it's truly, it's such a gift. Yeah, like.
You know what? It makes me think of that Steve Jobs commencement address, where he talks about, like, your life makes sense when you look backwards and things connect. It's like the skills that I learned in computer programming are exactly the things that I use when I work on people's marketing, messaging, and strategy. It's exactly the same thing. It's like, it's all code. Everything's interconnected, and things are, you know, the thing that happens here impacts something that happens over here. It's just seeing the systems and the connectedness between things. That was a training ground for what I do now. It seems completely unrelated, but the fact that I'm a programmer and systems analyst is part of what makes me effective at my job now.
Yeah. What do you think your superpower is?
Explaining stuff, making sense of stuff and explaining it. And it's a translation kind of work. It's like, that's what I used to do with the software development. I talked to somebody about their business, about what they needed in their business, and then I would translate that into code. Basically, yeah. It's like, how do I get this code to do what they want it to do? And it's the same thing. Like, people will just like download a whole bunch of information on me, and I'm like, okay, I can connect the threads and I can make sense of it. And they often say, oh, I go blah 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 blah, and I turn it into something shorter and more succinct, and or, you know, a Venn diagram.
Well, and I think what you actually said there too is so true, is you turn it into something they want. Because I know, even from my own experience with things you've done for me, I'm like, oh, I just blabbed, and that sounds just like me. Like, I didn't write that, but that sounds exactly like me. It's like you crawled into my head, put it all in this nice little package, and it sounds exactly like me. And I think that's such a like, truly a superpower and a gift. Because, you know, often, especially in the world of templates, and you can hire people and everything comes out the same. You're like, oh, I know who wrote that. I know who taught you that. Because it's so the same. Where this gift of being able to take so much of what someone has in their head and have them just basically vomit all over you, and then you turn that into something really succinct, beautiful, clear, easy to understand, and it sounds just like them, like their personality, their nuances, how they would communicate is all wrapped up in that. It is truly a superpower.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And the reason it sounds like them, the reason it sounds like you, is because you actually said it. That's what I do when I sift through what people tell me. I take their words, and this is, if anybody here has worked with me before, you've heard me say this. Listen to what people tell you. They will tell you how to market to them. They like write down their exact language, and that's what I do with people. It's like they'll look at that and they'll go, wow, that's amazing, that sounds just like me, like this sounds like something I would say. And it's like, it's because it is what you said. It's just you said it in 3,000 words and I'm saying it in 150. Like it's I'm just picking it out and I'm organizing it, but you know, I'm looking for, you know, what are your phrases? That's why I record when I write copy for people. I actually record. I do, and I get a transcript from the recording, so I can pull exact words and phrases out because that's what makes it sound like them. But when it comes to write, like if you want to write your own copy, if you want to, you know, it's more important. It's like, what do your clients say? You know, what did they say about you? That's really what, like, I used to always just interview my clients to write the copy. Now I, as often as possible, if it's within, you know, reality, I will interview their clients to see what they say about them. So that I get like straight from the client's mouth, basically, and take their words to describe what you do.
Nice. We have a question. We have a question for you. Tell us a bit about the beginning of and evolution of Georgee and Patty after just having a Patty K business.
All right. I went to this life-changing workshop. It was actually really interesting. I went to Georgee had used to have like an event space in New Westminster where I used to live, and I just happened to catch a notice on Meetup that she was having an event that sounded really interesting. And I'd been there before and I'd actually met Georgee before, and it was just like, and I remember thinking at the time, it's like, wow, she's really cool. I should probably get to know her better, but you know, introvert shy. Anyhow, I sign up for this event because I'm like, I'm going to go and check out this event and maybe meet some interesting people. And so I go to this event and we're listening to speakers. It's not Georgee that's speaking. She's got another speaker in. And it's like, I really liked what the event was about and the people that were in it, and got chit-chatting with Georgee afterwards about what she was up to. And I'm like, man, she sounds like she does almost exactly the same thing that I do. But I think maybe she does it a little bit differently. And I can't remember if you proposed it or I proposed it. One of us proposed it. You know, we should probably get together and chat. It's probably you.
Probably.
So we did, and we got on a phone or a Zoom or whatever. We're talking about what we do, and you were talking about the why, and I was trying to get us. I had this sense that maybe we could work together, maybe we could do something together. And you're like, well, I'm having a why workshop. Whatever, you should come and check it out. That's the best way to figure out what I do, right? So I went to this why workshop for 3 days, and it changed my life. Like, it just, that what Georgee mentioned earlier about this ability to articulate what your why was. Before I went into the workshop, I had this sense that I knew I had a kind of a sense of a purpose, that I was going to help people like me. And I really liked the Marianne Williamson quote, but I didn't have something articulated. And after the workshop, I had this thing articulated, and I discovered that I was excited about life again, because I was not in that place. Before I went to the workshop, I was in this massive place of depression. I was very much considering just hanging, like just tossing the whole business. I didn't know what else to do, but I was just in this place. I was just not happy with my life, not happy with my business, not happy with anything. And it was just like, I got re-energized after getting in touch with the why, and all of a sudden it's like the little stones made more sense. So and in my mind I'm going, okay, that's awesome. And this is the thing, I'm sitting in this classroom, and part of me is there in the workshop, and part of me is evaluating Georgee. I don't know if she knows this, but this is how I work. And anyhow, she's in this engagement with one of the people in the room. This person's having trouble coming up with their why. And I'm watching Georgie coach them through it. And I'm watching how she's answering questions, how she's holding space for them. And I had taken a life coaching program. I had taken this intensive $5,000 life coaching training program where I walked out learning that I am not cut out to be a life coach. So I'm watching Georgie do this, and I'm like, man, I vaguely remember learning all of these techniques in that coaching program. And here is somebody that is demonstrating how to do this, like off the charts, awesome, excellent. Like, it's like she's better than the instructors in the coaching program I took. I'm like, wow, she is amazing at this. Like, she is just so good at not enforcing her own opinion, in drawing stuff out of people, of listening attentively and feeding information back. And I'm like, this is like picture perfect, right? And I'm like, I thought, she is brilliant at this, and I do not ever want to do this. Like, this is not my thing. My clients need this. My clients need this desperately. They need this. But I don't want to be the one to do it. And then I think you were the one that told me that you had this idea about doing a year-long program. You wanted me to be part of it.
Yeah,
because I think I offered in exchange for doing the workshop, I offered to write copy. So this way we could kind of suss out what each one of us did. And then afterwards you're like, I want to do a year-long program. I want to do it with you. And I'm like, I'm in, because I could see how our pieces connected. It was just like, I looked at Georgie and I'm like, she is everything that I am missing in my business. She is the other side of what my clients need. Like, that was part of why I was feeling depressed in my business. Like, I wasn't able to help people get unstuck. I wasn't able to help them figure out what they wanted, and they would be stuck in this place. And all I could offer is, that's not logical. It's like, it's not helpful.
I think it was so the same, and I'm like, I need what she does. I need it, and I think it's that space of there's just no hesitation. It's like, I want to do this thing. I need what you have. Are you in? I know we can do this. So I've just spent 3 days with you. I know all your values and everything. I know we're good. Let's do it.
Yeah, totally in alignment, right? And it's like, and I'm looking around at the people in the room too, right? And I'm like, she attracts the same people I do. And it's like, and I was just so surprised that, living in the same city and being out and about and doing things, because we both did things. You had events, I had events. Yeah. It was like, how did our circles not interconnect? Because I was asking my people, do you know Georgie? And they don't know Georgie. And you're asking your people, they knew me and they didn't know me. And I'm like, I'm looking around and I'm like, this could be my event. Like, these people here around this table could be in one of my events. They're the same kind of people. And I'm like, I know my people will like your people.
Exactly. So true. So true. Okay, let's see. Did you change what you do in your business, or did you do your business differently, or did you simply see the value in what you were doing already? Yes. One of the big shifts I made after that was I was going to focus my own business on the the copywriting and the messaging, that part that I did really well. And I just dropped any idea of doing anything that sounded like business coaching or marketing coaching or anything like that. I just went 100% focused in on messaging and copy kind of end of it, and kind of looked at, okay, this is going to be the partnership and the coaching is going to happen in this thing that we do together. That was kind of the shift that I saw. It was, if anybody was needing coaching, that was going to need to come through this thing that we did together. So. Yeah, it's really cool how I think we both kind of did that with what we were doing. We sort of dropped the pieces that we were both doing, and it's like, oh yeah, I know they need it, and I'm kind of doing it to the best that I can, but I'm really not the best person to be doing this. Like, I'm adequate, but no way. And I'm like, out. So good you're here to do that. I'm just going to do the stuff that I love. And, it really is about that people thing. And I'm like, this is literally what I do. This is like the coolest thing ever.
it's just so delightful to be able to do that, to be able to just kind of, it's like, because we're both very client centered, and it's kind of like, okay, I've got this person in front of me and they need this and this and this, and I can help with all of it.
Yeah.
I'm really good at helping with this part, and I'm kind of sort of adequate on this part, or I'm going to do my best because I want to serve this person that's with me. And it's just to be able to be in a partnership and say, okay, you need to talk to Georgie about that, is great, because we can provide so much more for the clients. Because I'm always looking at this is like, how do we serve the clients? Like when that was my assessment of Georgie, is like, how can she help my clients?
Exactly.
How can we team up together so we can do even better for the people that we're working with? It's like, it's always about that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's why we both get so excited when the clients start doing well and they're bringing their gifts to the world, and we can see that these people are changing the world. And I think that's what we get so excited about that happening. And it's like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm like, oh my God, without the collaboration, I know it wouldn't have been that great. And now it's so great because people are really, really getting what they need in the way that they need it so that they can make a difference in the world. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
I often feel that way, like, when we're talking to one of our clients or prospective clients, and it's just, you hear what they're doing, and and I look, like, it's kind of a filter for me too about like who I want to work with. It's like, okay, so if we were to help you become successful, is the world better off because of what you're doing or not, right? Like,
exactly.
it's like, I read this book called Your Money or Your Life many years ago, life-changing book that equated um, our time, like, equated money to life energy. And it's just whatever it is that you're doing in your work, you are spending your life energy. And it really clicked, a couple of pieces clicked into place with me. And one of, like, a lot of this was about, if you have to work at your job for 8 hours in order to afford to buy something, is it worth the 8 hours of labor in order to buy it? Like, that was, one angle of the book. But the other angle of the book, the one I really took into account, was, what is the impact of your life energy in your work when you are there doing your thing? Um, what is your life energy contributing towards? And it was just like, that clicked a whole bunch of pieces into place. And it's like, that was this whole, like, wow, all these smart people contributing their life energy to horrible, no good, useless causes, right? And at the time I was working on a project with some brilliant collaborators. I was meeting all of my, internal needs for getting better at what I do, and creating something out of nothing, and working on an exciting project with awesome, smart people. And I was making really good money on it. And I'm like, why am I not happy? And then I realized I'm contributing my life energy to a project, which is great. However, the end client for the project is a fast food frickin' restaurant. It's like, that is almost everything I stand against. And it was just that's why I'm not happy. My life energy is going to something I don't believe in. I'm helping, it's like I'm aiding and abetting the enemy kind of thing. And I'm like, no wonder I'm not happy. And then that kind of clicked into place. So it's part of my criteria for who am I going to work with. It's like, does your business provide value in the world? If you succeed, is that going to make the world a better place? It's like, that's what I'm asking you. Like,
Exactly.
do you have something that I think is worthy in a way? And it sounds really judgy, because it is. But I'm not helping fast food places. It's like, I'm
Exactly.
not helping environmentally destructive businesses. It's like, that does not make the world a better place. But when I talk to somebody who's like a life coach, or someone who does like communication skills training, it's like, we need that stuff desperately. We need people to be better at communicating, better at thinking, better at figuring out how to be happy. Look at all these people who are depressed. It's like, I think life coaches are way better than like Prozac. Um, these are the people that are just going to make like a dramatic difference in the world. So I get excited about helping them succeed, right? because it's a good use of my life energy.
Totally. I couldn't agree more. Here's one for you. I'm curious how you ended up in Prince Rupert in particular versus somewhere else.
Well, that's like a really exciting story. My husband my husband was fed up with living in the Lower Mainland, and he applied for a job in Prince Rupert to manage the SPCA, and they hired him. And because my business is portable, I went with him. I'm actually, like, I'm super proud of him for doing that, because he's spending his life energy in a way that contributes. And we're both animal people, and I just thought it was just really cool that he would want to do that. And I'm like, change is good, and we'll see what it's like here. And what's the SPCA? It's animal. It's an animal shelter. The BC Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals is what it is. So that's why we have a cat. He brought his work home with him.
So true. So we have some comments from Facebook of loving what you're saying, and you certainly do magic. That's nice. Any other questions for Patty? We've got 10 minutes to get any deep, dark secrets that you want out of her. She's willing to share. Kimono is open. Going exactly what Patty did for me. Completely transformed how I saw my business through her Venn diagram. Those Venn diagrams are freaking amazing. Amazing. Love your passion. Also love how your story is such a perfect example of how life will present opportunities that take us to a totally unexpected but perfect place. So true. So true. So while they're thinking, what advice would you give your, oh wait, here's another question before I get to mine then. What are your wishes for the future of you and Patty's business? So your Patty and Georgee business.
What is my wish for the future? I would like to, how do I put this? I want to have us help assist as many people as we can reasonably do. I'm intrigued with the idea of running a group program, scaling it up, get the information out there. And I am also very, very, very aware of a limitation of business model. One of the things that when we work with our clients individually in order to implement what they need to implement, because there's this requirement for this translation and for getting clear, helping people get clear. It's not something that can be done via a book. I'm thinking there might be some ways to do it in a group kind of interactive setting, but I look at there's this company thoughtleaders.com.au. They publish their results for working with their clients, and they have a 97% success rate. That's what I want. Most of the small business coaching, training, marketing programs have a 97% failure rate. They don't talk about that. They talk about the 3% that had results not typical, but most people who do those programs don't get results. And the reason they don't get it is because they're not ready for it in a lot of cases, but also because they don't get the individual attention that they need in order to implement some really, really important fundamental things. So if we can find a way, and this is kind of the search, if we can find a way to deliver this program in a way that gets that 97% success rate. Because I'm not happy unless my clients are succeeding. It's just like, I'm not happy. That neither one of us is happy. It's like they need to succeed. And it's a tough thing with coaching because they also have to do the work. So it's like, okay, How do you make that fly? But if we could make that fly, if I could do something, if we could put something together, had a 97% success rate, I'd like to grow it as big as possible to have a really big impact. But I don't think it's going to fall under any of the currently kind of accepted models of bringing a lot of people into a big arena and getting them excited and giving them some kind of vague platitudes to follow or whatever. It's not that those people are all necessarily bad people or whatever. I think the intentions in a lot of cases are really good. It's just the ability to implement isn't there. There's not enough support. There's not enough access. So that's kind of when looking into the future. I'd love to see that if we can get that at a reasonable price, because our people are starting out and often don't have huge financial goals, but at a reasonable price, and to get the results. So yeah. It's a challenging problem. I like challenging problems, but this has been the problem that Georgie and I have been working on for the last year and a half. How do we do this?
Exactly.
How do we create a program that is practically guaranteed that people will succeed when they take it? 97% success rate. That's what we're looking for.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're both absolutely passionate about that. And that's just a must. We both hear a lot from people, you can't be attached to the outcome. And we are, and we're totally okay with that because it doesn't work for us any other way. And
it's a limitation, because we can sell the snot out of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like we have the sales and marketing skills to be able to snot out of stuff, but we won't.
Exactly.
It's like, no, it absolutely has to. It has to work, or we can't feel good about it. And I'm to the point where I believe that this is true of our clients as well. If you're not 100% convicted about your own offer, it's going to be really, really hard to sell. If you have any doubts about what you're doing, if you're having any doubts about the efficacy of what you're offering or how people do in your program, it's like, good luck trying to sell it, because it's going to be hard. I think about the fellow that came to one of my networking events who said, he was asked to introduce himself. He says, well, my friend roped me into this thing. I'm like, dude, don't waste your time. It's like, that is not a compelling message.
Exactly. Any side interests you might have?
No, none whatsoever.
That's true.
I am singularly obsessed with business, sales, marketing, personal development, human psychology kind of stuff. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what I do for fun, because most people don't think it's fun.
She talks to me. That's what's fun.
We talk about ideas. We talk about how to make our program better. We talk about how to help our clients.
Exactly. Where are we on a Friday night? That's where, right here on Zoom. What are some trainings that you're glad you invested in?
Number one, positively life-changing, economical, and amazing is Toastmasters. Super cheap, amazingly. Especially if, like me, you're uncomfortable with speaking to a group. What I got out of it was confidence, and it was an opportunity to speak to individuals as well. I went in because I was afraid of public speaking, but what I learned actually is to be able to have conversations with people one-on-one. One of the things I had us do is in the role I had for a meeting, I had to call everybody and remind them to come to the meeting. And like, it just about killed me. It's like, what? Pick up the phone? Talk to people? Which I think was great. So yeah, Toastmasters are absolutely life-changing. It's not going to turn you into a professional speaker, but it's a network. It's for those of us who are in transformational kind of businesses, coachy kind of personal development kind of things. It's a network of people who are by and large interested in that too. And it was just like, oh, some of my people are here. I'm not alone in the world. There's some people here that want to talk about ideas and are into personal development. So that's like number one was Toastmasters. Interestingly enough, on the lower end of the scale in terms of investment amount.
So cool. Well, we're at the end of our hour. So I just want to say thank you so much for being our inspiring human today. I believe this was a really great conversation, and I think it's always nice to get to know you a little better and allow our community of people to get to know the you that I get to know on the daily basis, which is really very, 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 very cool. So if you guys have more questions, you want to learn more about Patty and what she's up to, you can always follow us on our Facebook page. I will give her the messages 10K with Patty and Georgie.
They're so true.
You can email us, and then of course we are here Monday to Friday, sharing thoughts and information. And if you have any topics that you'd like us to talk about, any thoughts, ideas, anything that's going to serve you, make your life better, help us help you, please, please, please share them, because that's really what we're here for. If you guys weren't here, we wouldn't be here. And if we didn't feel this wasn't providing something valuable for you so that you can, as Patty would say, turn your light on, get that light out there and share your light with the world, it just wouldn't be worth it. So again, we really, really, really thank you for showing up every day, for being here for the hour, for engaging in the conversation, asking the questions. It's really, really amazing. And from the bottom of our hearts, we really, really appreciate you so, so, so much. So until tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Woohoo! All right, we'll see you.